You ever watch an anime fight that hits so hard your chest tightens like you're the one throwing the punches? I'm not talking about one shots, not those power of friendship moments that nuke a villain in under 3 seconds. Nah, forget that. I'm talking about the long hauls, the drag out, bone cracking, breath stealing brawls where fists meet flesh and neither side is holding back, where blood spills, tears fall, and every second feels like it could be the last. That right there is a high-diff fight. High-diff isn't just anime lingo, it's a feeling. It's when two monsters go head to head and you know no matter who wins, they're not walking away clean. Every punch is a gamble. Every dodge is a miracle. Every move earned, not given. Because here's the truth, we don't fall in love with perfection, we fall in love with struggle. We want to see our heroes doubt themselves, get knocked down, break, and still rise up swinging. Because somewhere in that chaos is up. Fighting battles we never asked for, holding on even when it hurts, getting back up again and again, because quitting isn't an option. And that's why these fights stick with us, not because they're flashy, not because of the animation fleck, but because they're raw, they're real. The best anime fights aren't about who's stronger on paper, they're about who's willing to lose it all and still keep pushing. They show us that courage doesn't mean being fearless, it means moving despite the fear. So today we're diving deep into the beauty, the brutality, and the soul of high-diff battles. Why they hit harder, why they stay longer, and why, for fans who get it, they're the peak of anime. Now don't get me wrong, I know there are some no-diff fights that absolutely slap. They look clean, they hit hard, and yeah, sometimes they're straight up high. We love those moments when the main character strolls in, no sweat, and just erases the villain from existence. But let's be real, most of the time, those fights don't carry the same weight. They don't have the stakes, the emotional payoff, the growth through struggle that makes you sit there in silence after the credits roll. And that's why high-diff fights hit different, because they're not about dominance, they're about endurance. They're a love letter to the ones who bleed, break, and become. So in this video, I'm not just breaking down why high-diff fights are peak anime. I'm also going to be sharing my personal favorite moments that prove it. The scenes that made my jaw drop, my heart race, and my respect for these characters skyrocket. Hey, let's start with stakes, and I'm not just talking about life or death, not just win this fight or the village gets blown up. I'm talking about soul deep stakes, the kind that punch you in the chest harder than any right hook, the kind that make you sit up and whisper, please don't lose. Because what makes a high-diff fight unforgettable isn't just the battle, it's what's on the line. It's not can the hero win, it's what happens if they don't. See, the best anime doesn't just throw fists, it throws philosophies. It pits identities against each other. Pain versus purpose, guilt versus redemption, legacy versus freedom. These fights, they're not just about power levels, they're about belief systems colliding in real time. Moments where everything a character has lived through, everything they stand for, is tested. And that's what keeps us watching, not just for the winner, but for what it costs them to win. Look at Naruto versus Sasuke. That fight wasn't just about stopping a rogue ninja, it was so much more. It was Naruto fighting for his brother, for the dream of Team 7, for the promise he made that no one, not even Sasuke, should ever have to walk through pain alone. It was about confronting his final wall, about ending the cycle of hatred that had torn their world apart for generations. If Naruto lost that fight, it wasn't just Sasuke disappearing into the darkness, it was the death of hope, the collapse of everything Naruto had ever stood for. That's what makes high-diff fights hit so hard. They make you ask what happens if the hero failed, and the answer, it's terrifying. Now think about Eren versus Reiner. We weren't just watching two titans throw hands, we were watching betrayal personified. A best friend turned traitor, a brother-in-arms suddenly revealed as the very monster hiding in plain sight. The stake, it wasn't just the walls, it wasn't just the city, it was Eren's entire worldview, his childhood, his trust, crashing into rubble. And that moment when Eren screams, that wasn't just rage, that was grief, that was innocence dying in real time. Because high-diff battles, they aren't just physical, they're mental, they're moral, they're existential. And when a fight challenges more than just strength, when it challenges identity, loyalty, even humanity, that's when it truly matters. Now let's talk growth, and I'm not talking about XP bars or clean-cut training arcs, I'm talking about the kind of growth that hurt. Because real growth, it don't come easy, not in life, and definitely not in anime. See, in a high-diff fight, it ain't just the body that's pushed to its limit, it's the soul, the spirit, the will to keep standing when everything's telling you to stay down. These fights, they're crucibles, forged in sweat, fear, desperation, and pain, and they don't just level you up, they change you. Take Tanjiro versus Rui. He's outmatched, outclassed, on the ropes. By all logic, he should have lost, but in that final moment, it's not raw strength that saves him. It's a memory. His father, gentle, soft-spoken, too frail to fight, moves in his mind with elegance and power. And from that memory, the Hinokami Kagura is born. A dance, a tribute, a legacy. It becomes the blade that cuts through fate itself. Tanjiro didn't grow because he trained harder. He grew because his heart wouldn't give in, because his love for Nezuko burned hotter than any demon's hatred. That's the soul of high difficulty. These battles tear characters down to their barest selves and force them to rebuild right there in the middle of the storm. But not all growth feels good. Look at Gon Freaks. When he finds out what Pitou did to Kite, something inside him breaks. That wide-eyed innocent boy we all adored, he's gone. In his place stands a monster, a twisted reflection of what grief and rage can become. And here's the truth, that wasn't a power-up, that was despair, weaponized. Gon gave up everything, his dreams, his future, his potential, just to make sure Pitou paid, and that's the rawest kind of growth. The kind that scars you, because sometimes to survive the hardest fights, you don't just level up, you let go of who you were. Hey, let's be real for a second. If we already know how a fight's gonna end, what's the point? Where's the thrill? Where's the hype? But in a high-diff fight, all bets are off. You don't know who's walking out alive. You don't even know if the win will feel like a win or just a survival. Because unpredictability, that's the lifeblood of hype. It's the plot twist mid-air. It's the scream before the slap. It's the moment your heart dropped because something impossible just happened. Take Rock Lee versus Gaara. At first, we all thought Lee was just comic relief, green jumpsuit, bowl cut, awkward energy. But then he drops the ankle weights and the whole arena shakes. That moment, that's when everything flipped. From no way he wins to wait, he might actually pull this off. That was unpredictability at its finest, and the entire fandom felt it. Or how about the time Toji stabbed Gojo? In that moment, it felt like it was over. The strongest sorcerer, done, finished, curtains. But then, reverse cursed energy. Dude came back like a mythic resurrection, eyes glowing, aura crackling. And the entire anime community lost its mind. That wasn't just hype, that was storytelling built on chaos, tension, and the fear that nobody's safe. That's another reason high-diff fights hit harder. It's simple, the villain actually gets to eat. When the antagonist is really strong, not just loud, not just flashy, but genuinely terrifying. You don't just want the hero to win, you need them to. Because now it's not just a fight, it's a war for meaning, for survival, for everything. Think about Madara Uchiha. The man didn't just show up, he descended like a force of nature. No speeches, no grandstanding, just hand. And then he drops a meteor, the survivors are barely standing, and what does he say? What will you do about the second one? Chills. That's not just a flex, that's narrative dominance. That's the story saying, this isn't your warm-up villain. This man is him, and if the hero wants to win, they're gonna have to bleed for it. Look at Aizen. This man was untouchable, unfazed, unreadable. Every step he took felt 10 moves ahead. It wasn't just power, it was control. You didn't beat Aizen with fists. You needed strategy, sacrifice, and plot armor layered with IQ just to survive. Villains in high-diff fights are more than obstacles. They're the mirrors of our heroes. They push them, challenge them, make them question everything. You ever finish a fight scene and just sit there? Like, not hyped, not clapping, not even breathing, because what you just witnessed wasn't a battle. It was a breakdown, a confession, a life story told through bruises, blood, and breathless screams. That's what we call an emotional payoff. Oh, it's not about who hits harder, it's about what they're fighting for. It's that moment when the gloves come off and all that's left is pain, memory, and purpose. Remember when Krillin died and Goku went Super Saiyan? Saiyan for the first time, that wasn't just a power-up. That was grief incarnate. Goku didn't level up. He snapped because someone he loved was taken, because something inside him shattered so violently. It unlocked a version of him the universe wasn't ready for. And in that moment, you change too. You're not just watching Goku anymore, you become him. And sometimes the pain doesn't even end in victory. Sometimes the character dies, smiling through the agony, like Jiraiya. You don't cry because he's gone. You cry because he believed, because he knew he wouldn't win. But he fought anyway, for his village, for Naruto, for the next generation. He passed the torch, and the flame burns brighter because of it. And finally, let's not forget the community. High-Diff fights are the moments we remember, the ones we share, meme, react to, argue about in comment sections at 3 a.m. When Gojo fought Toji, the internet shattered, everyone pulled up, live tweeting, screaming, theory crafting. When Gohan snapped on Cell, you already know that wasn't just an anime moment. That was a generational awakening. These fights unite us. They remind us why we fell in love with anime in the first place. If this hit you deep, like rewatch the fight right now deep, go ahead and drop a like, share it with your anime crew, and tell me what's your favorite High-Diff fight of all time. Let's talk in the comments. I'll be down there with y'all, and hey, if you love anime that makes you feel something, you're in the right place. Subscribe for more deep dives, breakdowns, and everything that reminds us why anime hits different. Until next time, keep fighting, keep feeling, and never skip the struggle. Peace.